Sports Talkers, what's up? Today we're going to be looking at some comments made by Jay Williams. So just hear what he has to say. I'll come back with some commentary afterwards.
Everybody knows, like the last challenge you had with OKC when they were at this type of fame and success, who was the lead dog, right? And not that any of them would say that overtly, but their actions spoke about it different ways. If it's KD and how at times on the court he was the leader, but also was there any passive aggressiveness with the way Russell played overtly? I'm him. James Harden was a special talent, but it was a lot of my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, and they were super talented. This team, there feels like everybody knows it's SGA, and SGA knows that he can't do it without J-Dub, without Chet, but it's all together. It feels like complementary-wise, this is the most complementary team they've had in a long time where all the pieces fit. So for me, I think we're talking about something diagnostic here, in the making. I think it's okay and safe to use that word because I think internally that's their expectation of what they're trying to create.
So Sports Talkers, you heard what Jay Williams had to say. And I have to say, it's sad listening to those comments because I think those comments are, first of all, I disagree with his comments. Second of all, I think those comments are disrespectful to the dynasties of the past. The Bulls dynasties, the Lakers, the Celtics, hell, even Golden State in more recent times. It's very disrespectful. First of all, Jay Williams. Oklahoma City Thunder, they have not won a championship. They haven't won one yet. Right? No. They haven't even won two. And if you win two, then you're borderline dynasty because you're almost at three. And if you're almost at three, then if you skip a year, you lose 1 year and then you win the other year. You have a grace period, maybe 5 to 6 years where you can win another one and still be considered a dynasty. Now, we're going to look at the definition of a dynasty. Now, Sports Talkers, let's think critically here. I want you guys to put in the comments what you think a dynasty is. What's your definition of a dynasty when it comes to sports teams? Now, I'm going to give my definition. If you just agree with me, you can say you agree. If you disagree, you can say you disagree, or you place what you think it is in the comments. Now, for me, a dynasty is a team that is highly successful, highly consistent, winning multiple championships over several years. I think for me, to be a dynasty, you have to win at least 3 championships within maybe within a 5 to 6 year period. You have to win at least 3 championships. And in between winning those championships, if you haven't won them consecutively, you have to be making it to the finals. You have to be highly successful even in the years that you didn't win a championship. But to be a dynasty, it's closely tied to championships and being in the finals every year. Now, let's break down why Golden State recently is the most recent dynasty. Now, they've won 4 championships. 4. They won 4 championships within the last decade, right? So, they're considered a dynasty just because they won 4. In between the years that they didn't win, they were in the finals almost every year. They were in the finals for, I think, 5 straight years at one point. Right? Now, I think they won 3 out of the 5, I think. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on those numbers. I didn't record any numbers. I'm talking from memory, talking from the brain. Now, the Bulls dynasties, they won 6 within a decade. So that's for sure a dynasty. And I won't go on naming all these dynasties, but how can OKC be considered even building a dynasty and they haven't won anything as yet. That don't make any sense. So those comments are ludicrous in my opinion. They're just like hyping up and propping up the team to fail. Because let us look at it. The last time OKC was making noise like this, when they had Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. What happened during that time when they had those players? Tell me, you guys tell me, what happened? They traded away James Harden, and a couple of years later, Kevin Durant left. So it's hard to build a dynasty. First of all, the team has to be willing to pay several players, the core players of that team. The team has to be willing to pay those players, right? Especially if their contracts are close to expiring. Now, I'm going to go through the Oklahoma City Thunder players right now, their contracts, not necessarily the monetary part of their contracts, but the length, when it's expiring and what, we're going to talk about the core members of the team. If Sam Presti, the president of basketball of OKC, is going to be willing to sign these players to huge contracts. Now, first of all, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's his contract, he's got 3 years left on his contract, including this year. So for sure, they're going to be re-signing him at least in this offseason or next offseason, right? There's Hartenstein. He's got 3 years as well, including this season. All of these numbers include this season. So Wiggins, he's got 5 years, so he's not going anywhere. Isaiah Joe, he's got 4 years, he's not going anywhere. Cason Wallace got 4 years, he's not going anywhere. Chet Holmgren has 4 years, he's not going anywhere. J-Dub, that's Jalen Williams, he's got 3 years, including this year. So they have to sign him in this offseason or next offseason. He's going to be worth a big contract. The other Jalen Williams, he's got 2 years. They might trade him, or I don't know. He's a rotation player. Caruso, they got 5 years for Caruso, so no worries there. Lou Dort, 3 years. So they might consider trading this guy, or I don't know, trading him or re-signing him. But all of these contracts, well, most of their main players, that's Shai, Dortz, J-Dub, like a lot of their main players only have 2 seasons on their contract after this season. So they'll be definitely re-signing some players this offseason or next offseason, depending on how the money works. Because players, they usually have to think about, if they sign too early, they get less money. If they delay signing a contract 1 extra year, then they'll get more money in the long run. So it depends on the players and it depends on the team. But do you think the Thunder are willing to re-sign all these players to even reach to the point where they can be considered a dynasty? I don't know that. I don't know if Sam Presti is willing to commit to this team for another 5 years, 6 years. I mean, at the end of the day, the role players really don't matter as much, but they do matter. Because if you get rid of the role players, you got to get, cheaper role players that can play the same role or play even better. And that's a gamble. Now, during the early years of Golden State's dynasty, they had a really good bench, which is what this Thunder teams possesses as well. They have a really good bench. And that bench allowed Golden State to win a lot of championships. Well, a few championships. And this Thunder bench can do the same, because the parity in the NBA is the NBA is wide open. Anybody can win at this point. There's no super dominant team. It's really open. So it depends on your front office and coaching and you might win a championship. It's really open right now, right? So the Thunder have like a good core team, but can they keep the core team together? Are they willing to pay the absurd amount of money that these players are going to be demanding? Right? They didn't want to pay James Harden. I think it was like 60 million back in the day. They didn't want to pay James Harden, a high-level player, 60 million. So, are they going to be willing to pay some of these players like J-Dub? He's probably going to want a contract he'll have to be paid maybe like 40 million a year. Are they going to be willing to pay him that? You know? I think we have to think about these things before we go around throwing out the word dynasty. They have to win one, first of all. They haven't won this season yet. They're the favorites, but they haven't won. So, that's the first thing. At max, they may win 2 based on these players' contracts and how these contracts line up. They're in the running to win 2. But are they going to get to the point where they can win 3, 4, 5 within a 10-year period? I don't think so. Sports Talkers, let me know your thoughts. I'm out.